Which rookie receiver should you be buying before week 7? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Magdziuk.
Today's episode of Locked On Dynasty is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projections, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a deposit, 100% instant deposit match of up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That is prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Welcome into the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, everybody. I am Kate Magdziuk. You could follow me on Twitter at FFBallblast. And as always, I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Marcus Mosher. You could follow him on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And please, of course, be sure, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening and check us out on YouTube. Give us those thumbs up, subscribe, never miss an episode because we are going to help you win your Dynasty League this year. And we can't help you if you don't help us. So, Marcus, we are here. We're going to be talking some rookies today. I'm very excited because, you know, we usually have the end cap episodes, and
Yes.
it's nice to get into the nitty gritty of Dynasty. So, you had some thoughts on what we should talk
I have a
about
take.
today.
That's
You
the
have a
way we should
take.
start. I have a take. You hear all the time in the NFL, oh, you can find receivers anywhere. Just draft 1, 2nd, 3rd round, and you'll be fine. Kate, I'm here to tell you, I think if you put all the day 2 wide receivers in a bag this year, I think there's 11 of them. I think only one has increased their value since the start of the season. I think it's been a pretty disappointing day 2 rookie class. So let's kind of see where we're at after 6 games with all of these guys. And we're going to jump right in order in which they were drafted, starting with Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. Yikes, Kate. Yikes. He struggled to stay healthy. They don't really have a defined role. His first play of the season was a deep bomb that he dropped, and it seems like he's out of the circle of trust with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we know that's a very, very tight circle to break. Like once you're out, you're out. I do think there's plenty of time for Christian Watson. I mean, he's only 23 years old. He's a fantastic athlete. I think what my take on Christian Watson goes back to my take on him coming out of North Dakota State. I think it comes down to the fact that he is an incredibly gifted athlete. His testing shows that he can be a phenomenal playmaker, but he has to learn, I think, the wide receiver position more. Like physical traits, got it, but this guy needs to lock down the intricacies of the position, and not an ideal move to play with a quarterback as unforgiving as Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, the biggest issue has been health.
Well, the other thing about this, though, Kate, is one of the reasons why so many people liked the Christian Watson selection is, because he's going to be unlocked with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is the most efficient deep ball thrower in the NFL. We have seen them not have a connection. It's pretty clear that Aaron Rodgers is declining, and who knows how much longer he's going to be in Green Bay. And if all of Watson's value is tied into Aaron Rodgers, that's scary. Through 6 weeks, Kate, 7 catches for 52 yards for Christian Watson.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
7 catches for 52 yards. Like that's how bad Christian Watson's. I mean, awful. He's currently wide receiver 46 in dynasty leagues. That feels way too high for me.
It feels way too high for me. I just think, again, this comes down to my pre-draft take. I wasn't in on Christian Watson. I thought he was overvalued. Nothing we've seen so far builds that value. And I mean, sure, if you're in a full rebuild and you want a bunch of speculative ads, that's great. Like, take some of these dart throws, but
he's just not going to help you.
He's not going to help you anytime soon.
No. All right. Next receiver that was drafted in the second round would have been Wan'Dale Robinson Now, Wandell looked fantastic in the preseason. He got injured early on in the year. He did come back for week 6. He caught a touchdown, 4 for 42, and a score on the season. I I don't feel like his value has changed all that much since the preseason, since the draft, but it certainly hasn't, risen a lot either.
It hasn't risen a lot. He also hasn't been healthy. Like, health has been definitely a thing for some of these day 2 receivers, a lot of them.
Yep.
But Wan'Dale Robinson, I do think, like, out of a lot of these guys, out of most of these guys, probably has, the best chance of anybody at increasing his value in, like, let's say, the next 2 weeks. Like,
The problem with Wandell, and I love Wandell, is just the ceiling's relatively low, right? Like he's just not going to be somebody because of how small he is, and that passing offense isn't great. Like you're hoping that he develops into a wide receiver 3. Anything more than that would be shocking to me.
yeah, and, like, Wandale, again, you go back to his size, 5'8", 178 pounds. Like, for Wandale Robinson to hit, he has to very much, like, outplay any and all expectations
Yeah.
that you would have for a player of his size. He would have to be, I think, a volume-based play. He has to be an enigma, and
Yeah.
is he? Not so sure yet, but might be
He needs to
flex
be a
worthy.
major outlier is what he needs
Yep.
to be. And again, if you have Wandell on your team, I think you're excited about the way that his the rest of the season could go, but he's not somebody that I'm going out and trying to trade for right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next receiver, John Mechie. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. Really unfortunate what happened here. Sounds like everything is going pretty well in not only his ACL recovery, but also it's leukemia, I believe, is what he's going through right now. But saw him on the sidelines a couple weeks ago. We wish him the best and hope that he's able to come back on the field for the 2023 season.
Yeah, seriously, it just seems like such a great guy too, Marcus. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
that little thing. He brought, a lot of the cancer patients from his hospital into the facility, gave him a tour, took him on the field. Like, he seems like a very inspiring young guy. Is there anything like, would you be willing to send a 3rd round pick for John Mechie at this point?
Probably not, just because I still don't trust that passing offense. I don't know who the quarterback is. Um,
4th?
Sure, I think at that point I'm willing to gamble on Mechie just because of the pedigree and where they drafted him. But yeah, I think that's probably the tipping point for me.
Okay.
All right, let's get to some other of these rookie receivers. But before we do that, we want to tell you about Blue Nile. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile will then handcraft a perfect engagement ring, and each ring is one of a kind. Make your moment sparkle from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Dynasty listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use promo code Locked On. That is Locked On. Plus, every order is insured. It ships free, and it arrives in like the secret packaging that won't give away what's inside. So in case your spouse is at home picking up the mail, they'll have no idea what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right, Kate, let's continue to run through some of these second round receivers. Pick 50
We're getting
overall.
into interesting one.
Yes,
Marcus.
finally getting into interesting ones. And that includes Tyquan Thornton, who made it back from the injured reserve list in week 6. He caught a touchdown. He's starting to look a little bit better on the season. 6 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Does have a rushing touchdown. Is Tyquan Thornton someone you're interested in?
I mean, no, but
It's just a low
like,
volume pass offense.
yeah, I don't think this offense is going to be built for multiple wide receivers anytime soon. Now, interesting note, like, if you are a Tyquan Thornton believer, I mean, he's 6'3", 182 pounds. Like, he's not a Wandale Robinson. So, like, the body's on his side. He has the draft pedigree, so that's good. And rumor has it we're approaching the trade deadline November 1st, and the Patriots have been fielding calls for Kendrick Bourne. Could this be a moment where he steps in? Maybe, if you want to be super optimistic. But we've still got Jonnu Smith there, who had a big boy catch last week and showed us he's still got something in him. Hunter Henry's still there. Jacoby Meyer. Like, I just think I don't want any part of this passing offense unless we start to see one of these guys stand out from a volume standpoint. Right now, that's Jacoby Myers.
Here's the only reason that I'm not completely out on Tyquan Thornton. You look at their wide receiver situation, as you mentioned. Jacoby Myers, a free agent after the year. Nelson Aguilar, a free agent after the year. We talked about Kendrick Bourne potentially being on the trade block. Devontae Parker has no guaranteed money left on his deal after this year. There's a chance that just all of these guys, or 3 of the 4 of these guys, are gone after this year. And it's Tyquan Thornton and Jacoby Myers. And if Tyquan Thornton's running 85% of the routes in this passing offense, even though it's low volume, there's a chance that, he just gets the target share to be fantasy relevant. So I'm not completely out on Tyquan Thornton.
I think that's fair. The avenue there is certainly it's paved sort of, but maybe the pathway isn't totally clear. Like maybe there's just a bunch of speed bumps on that pathway.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to lump these two receivers together because I actually find it kind of funny.
No, I'm not going to let you do that, Marcus. I'm not going to let you. No. Because you said ahead of the podcast that your bold take was that there was only one wide receiver that has really increased his value here. And these next 2 picks in the 2022 draft tell me that there's 2 players who have increased their value. And I'm not going to hear the slander.
I'll give you the floor on George Pickens. Go ahead.
Actually, I was hoping for the floor on Alec Pierce, my man.
All right. Go ahead.
But also, like, George Pickens, I mean, it's very clear that with Kenny Pickett under center, and it sounds like he's going to be bouncing back from this concussion this week. Hopefully he clears protocols. But when Kenny Pickett is under center, I want George Pickens in my lineup. Like,
I agree.
There is so much upside, I think. He ranks 4th in receiving yards among rookies, and he still has yet to eclipse that like 60 reception percentage mark on the season. Like he's not getting a high percentage of these catches, but he's making big plays. Still needs to catch his first touchdown of the season. I mean, Marcus, the possibility is all there. There's no rookie wide receiver that's played more receiving snaps at this point than George Pickens. He's able to force tackles at a ridiculous rate after the catch. He looks good. Like he looks like an alpha wide receiver. And George Pickens might just be the reason that the Steelers are potentially moving on from Chase Claypool ahead of the deadline.
It's just the hype on George Pickens is out of control. Like there's no doubt that he has risen up our ranks. Like he's the guy that I was referring to, that his stock has risen dramatically since the draft, since the offseason, since training camp. But Kate, you would think with the way social media is acting that he had like 300 more yards this season than Alex Pierce, when in fact he has 6 more yards and he has fewer touchdowns and he's averaging fewer yards per catch. Like there's just not a lot of difference in terms of their production. There's not a lot of difference in terms of their size. I think Alex Pierce just needs a better PR team. That's really all it is.
I mean, I do. And you know what, like Marcus, I think the fact comes down to just the idea maybe that it's not the most exciting offense. Not that the Steelers are, but I think the Steelers have enough confabulating factors that people are still kind of entranced with this entire team. Like the Kenny Pickett factor. What can he be? Najee Harris, is he broken? Like there are, I think, a lot more interesting questions that keep people invested in the Steelers offense.
Sure.
than the Colts, because the Colts just look bad. We haven't had Jonathan Taylor here. I think that Alec Pierce has looked better than any of these rookie wide receivers, if I'm being outside of Chris Olave, if I'm being honest. Like, for me, he looks the most polished. He looks the most refined. And he's not necessarily relying on like the George Pickens crazy OBJ catch to get that splash play.
And the problem with Alex Pierce is, and you kind of referred to it, it's just there's more certainty in that Colts offense, right? Like when Jonathan Taylor gets back, they're going to feed him the rock. They've got Michael Pittman, who's the alpha on this team. So Pierce is kind of stuck as the wide receiver too. Where in Pittsburgh, there's a chance that Pickens by the end of the year is just the clear-cut wide receiver one. Even though the passing offense might not be great, if he's getting the lion's share of the target in the passing game, we're going to be more excited about that. So I guess if you want to make a case that Pierce's stock has risen since the draft, I could buy it. But these are really the only two that I think are clear-cut.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But so wait, which of these? I'm still unclear. Which of these were you referring to?
Pickens.
Was it
Pickens?
So Pickens, but I still think that people are starting to pick up on Alec Pierce, and I think that we got to make the case that people are rising there, because
yes, I would agree.
Let's not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. We know the Colts are garbage, but Alec Pierce is not.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, one more player here that I want to mention in this group, because he went right after. It was Pickens at pick 52, Pierce at pick 53, Sky Moore at pick 54. Sky Moore 6 for 100 on the season. Been in and out of the lineup. It seems like he kind of got benched after, I think, week 2, week 3. Got to be honest, Kate, a little bit disappointed with what we've seen from Sky Moore so far.
We should be a lot disappointed with what we've seen from Sky Moore. And that's not to say like Sky Moore is a receiver that I'm probably going to be targeting in a lot of trades after this season, because I do think that I believe in the talent. I believe in the scheme fit, but sometimes again, like not every single wide receiver is an automatic hit in year one. Like, I remember back in my day, it took plenty of time for, some of these young bloods to really develop into the players they are meant to be. But Sky Moore, like I said, I just love the scheme fit. He has that second round draft pedigree. He's tied to the best quarterback in the NFL. His biggest problem for me is the fact that he selected number 24 as his jersey number. Like, maybe if we got that switched out, we'd see the breakout. But I mean, for right now,
that's a good problem. You're right. I didn't even think about it. That's exactly why he's failing in Kansas City.
It's 100%. Like, that is the only reason in my mind. But I mean, we've got to see him start to take over in that offensive role. The thing that I thought was interesting is that we have, seen that decrease in special teams snaps also. For what it's worth, like there's a slight increase in those offensive snaps, which is good, but I don't like that this team isn't trusting him on special teams right now.
I mean, they shouldn't. He basically lost him the Colts game, but just to show how much his stock has fallen, June 2022, he was 69 overall in ADP on Dynasty League Football. And so far this month, and I'm assuming it's going to go down as we get to November, 95.5. So, I mean, you're seeing a drop of 25 spots. Wouldn't be shocked if it's 35 spots by the time we get to the end of the month. So not great for Sky Moore. All right, we're going to talk about a few more receivers, some that went in the third round. But before we do that, we want to tell you about Simply Safe. All right, here is a sports analogy for you. When it comes to burglars, your home is like the end zone, and you need the absolute strongest defense that you could muster. That is why I use and trust Simply Safe Home Security. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back, so you know that your home is safe. They have, again, we mentioned the monitoring agents that they can call you if there's a threat. They can dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or you can't be reached. Simply Safe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real, not when your wife is just walking past the door to go get a cookie at night. Smarter ways to detect motion when the threat is real, and even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Our monitoring agents use this fantastic security to know when break-ins are real and when threats are actually, threatening. So you can get the highest priority police dispatch. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/lockedonnfl. Save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/lockedonnfl to learn more. There is no safe like Simply Safe. All right, Kate, let's run through some of these third round receivers. And boy, is it ugly so far. We've got 4 of them. Velus Jones, 2 catches for 19 yards and a touchdown on the season.
Yikes. Talk about another receiver that we just thought maybe there was room for somebody to catch a football in that team,
Yep.
but 25 years old, man. He's
They drafted him for his return ability, and he's already been benched from return stuff.
yeah, not sure hands. I think this guy's done. Period.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance he gets more involved in the offense as the season goes along, but you're certainly not making a trade for him.
No.
Next one. Oof. Jalen Tolbert, maybe one of the worst draft picks in redraft leagues for the Dallas Cowboys. 1 catch for 4 yards on the season. He's been a healthy scratch, I believe, every game but 1 this year.
This one almost more problematic to me than Jalen or than Velus Jones. And mostly because of the fact that this is a team that was hurting so badly at wide receiver and they still did not want this man on the field. That is a problem.
In week 1, when the Cowboys were without Michael Gallup and without James Washington, undrafted rookie free agent Dennis Houston started over him and got a helmet over Jalen Tolbert. We'll see. The Cowboys are pretty patient when it comes to rookies, but at the very best, he's going to be their wide receiver 3 at the very best, and it's not going to be this year. That's a tough one. Next one, David Bell for the Cleveland Browns, 6 catches for 66 yards, running as the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in Cleveland. I don't know. Okay, it's just so hard to tell with Jacoby Brissett as a quarterback right now.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, again, maybe in a deep league, you're just waiting for him to potentially be the slot guy when Watson comes back, but I kind of think we know what we're getting there. And then the last one. Go ahead.
To be clear, I did love him very much coming out of the draft, and this situation could be a lot different with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
I have DeAndre Hopkins on the mind, baby. I'm ready for that week 7 return. I think that this entire offense might look a little bit different. We don't really know what we're going to get. So I'm not out on David Bell, but I'm not making a huge effort to trade for him. Maybe in a couple of leagues, I'll try to stash him but you know what, Marcus, I already roster him in most leagues because I fell for the bait.
Yeah. And the last one. I have a hard time seeing Danny Gray becoming a top 3 receiver on this team anytime soon.
I mean, the issue is just, we have so many other talented wide receivers there. I think, the scheme, fine. But again, the biggest barrier is going to be the other playmakers on this roster and the fact that he's going to have to climb his way out of a pretty big, pretty deep depth chart. Deep
Yeah,
depth.
it's gonna be tough. And we know that. I mean, he's not gonna have any value this year, so it's his value is all 2023 and beyond. Do you do you trust Trey Lance to be the quarterback to open up the offense and expand the passing game to beyond 2 receivers and a tight end? Probably not.
Mm.
So my point remains, Kate. George Pickens, maybe Alex Pierce, the only receivers that have gained value since the summer. You would agree?
George Pickens and Alec Pierce. That is where we're ending this podcast. And
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. That is it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow to get you ready for week 7. I can't believe we're in week 7 already.
oh my gosh.
We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Now make your second listen to Peacock and Williamson NFL show. Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson give you the expert NFL analysis in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All the same places that you download the Locked On Dynasty podcast. Follow Kate on Twitter at FFBallBlast. I am at Marcus _Mosher. We'll see you guys next time.